Hello and good morning friends, welcome to the CEC-UGC live lecture. Dear friends, as you know that since our previous sessions we have been talking a lot on graphics and print production. This is our series under which we have conducted numerous sessions, numerous lectures. Dear friends, today also we are going to talk on graphics and print production. As you know that in our previous session we discussed about the components of design. Today we would be discussing on design principles. And under the area design principle we would be learning different grammar of design, that is we are going to discuss what is the grammar for designing. So for this, dear friends, we have again with us in our studios Professor N.N. Sarkar. Professor N.N. Sarkar is a retired professor from Indian Institute of Mass Communication, as well as I would like to tell you all that he has authored a book called Art and Print Production, which has been published by Oxford University Press. So dear friends, let's take advantages of his experiences and let's try to understand the grammar of designing. So without wasting any time, I would like to welcome our guest, Professor N.N. Sarkar. Professor Sarkar, welcome to the EduSet lecture.
Thank you, Gitika. Good morning and welcome viewers. So we are continuing with the graphics design and print production. So we have discussed the different components of graphics like visuals, typography, colors. Now all these things to be assembled to form a design. And when you are forming a design, we follow some rules and regulation. Why? Because design is a language. As a language, we know there are grammars, and we follow the grammars to create a language, to communicate the language. And that's why, since design is a grammar, that we follow some rules and regulation of design. Now, thing is this, who is supposed to prepare the design? Anybody can prepare the design, but only thing is this, if you follow the rules and regulation, then it will be professional. Otherwise, it is just like constructing a house. You can construct a house without an architect. That can be also a house. But the proper house will be if you take an architect and take his or her views, then only it will be a proper house. So like that, design, if we follow the rules and regulation of design, then we will be able to prepare a design which is communicatable and it is also professionals. Otherwise, it will be just like rubbish things which many people are doing these days, because the tools available, it is plenty in form of a computer. So if you know the computer, you can prepare the design, but if it is not followed by design principle, then it will be going to the waste paper basket. So friends, you must understand the design principle and try to apply these things to your design when you are planning to do it. Now, generally, who can plan? As I have already told you, that anybody can plan the design. Now, it is not only that you are planning the design, but also many times you are involved in designing, and you are supposed to take a chance to select a design, or you ask somebody to prepare a design for you. Then in that situation, what do? Sometimes you say, oh, it is a good design, or sometimes you say you don't like this design. But what does it mean? That means your own personal view you are giving it. But this is not the way to select a design or appreciate a design or criticize a design. You should use the design grammar to tell the person who is prepared the design why this design is not good and why this design is bad. And this lesson will help you to criticize and appreciate the design. And also, many times when there is absence of designer, then you yourself can prepare the design. So friends, this is the design principle and design grammar. Slide please. The design principle means rule of making graphic design. So when you are making the graphic design, first of all, we'll have to find out that what are the things we are going to arrange. In a design, you have got the illustrations, you have got the types, you have got the logo, you have the graphic shapes, and and so many other things. Now, take the example of the slides. We have that component of graphic shape like rectangular shape with colors. Then we have got the typographical content like design principle, design elements, and all this other information. So you are getting it, and also you will find a mouse over there. That is an illustration to make this particular slide. And take the example of this advertisement. This advertisement, you find what are the elements you have? You have the illustration. So, is the illustration? There is a car. And what is the graphic shapes? Behind the car, you will find the flash of colors. That is the graphic shapes, and that is enhancing the image of the illustration. That is a car, and also after that you will find the headline, which is a slightly bigger type. You can understand what is there. After reading the headline, then if you are interested, then you can go to the text, or you may like to read the text, and text is a smaller type. And down below there is a logo of the car. So these are the design elements. So these are all these have been arranged with some principle, and how these principles are used, we will understand this. Because as I told you, design is a language, and as all languages having the vocabularies, the design is also having the vocabularies. These vocabularies are point, line, tone, texture, and shapes. These are the vocabularies. So you identify the design elements with the help of these vocabularies. What are the elements? That is the illustrations, logo, typographical content, all these things we identify with the design vocabularies. First of all, we will have to understand these design vocabularies one by one. Then after that, identifying these design elements, we will have to place them on the given space, and that we follow the syntax of grammar. What is the syntax? Syntax is orderly presentation of visual elements which form a design. Then which order these elements should be placed, whether the headline should be on the top, or the illustration or the down below, and a logo at the corner, or top corner or bottom corner. So all these things will be organized if you understand the design syntax. So let us understand the design vocabularies one by one. First vocabulary is a point. What is a point? Point is a position on a space. When you are trying to make a design, you are bound by a space, that is maybe a white space, and a white space has an area. You cannot have a white space like a room size. You have a particular size, maybe an A4 size paper, or maybe 12 inches by 14 inches size paper. You are taking it, and that is your area of design. And this area should be filled up by the design elements. So when you want to see this area, you find the blank space. This is nothing on that. This is completely blank space. So when you look at a blank space, then it is the human eye tendency that your eye will fall on certain position. That is the point, and it will flash for a fraction of a second, and you will not look at the corner, at the bottom or top. It will just focus in a particular position. That is called optical center of the blank space. Optical center is also known as imaginary point. That means this point cannot be identified, but you can imagine that there is a point. See, this has been proved by that when you go to an optician's, he or she will adjust your eye by focusing on a point. That point is nothing but the imaginary point of the blank space. This point, if you want to find out what is the point, this point is slightly above the geometrical center of the point. This is the point. It is not exactly the geometrical center. It is slightly above the geometrical center. And what is the geometrical center? First of all, you understand, if you divide the space in equally two parts, from top to bottom and left to right, then you find the optical center. But this optical center This is the geometrical center, but optical center is slightly above. If you want to be very specific how much above it is, then it will be, if you divide the space in 5 parts and again you divide it from the center, then this cross section of this will get the optical center. Of course, this optical center should not be drawn on a blank space while making the design. It is just you have to imagine it. Oh, this is the position of optical center. Approximately, you have to take this position to place the elements around it. All the elements should be placed around the optical center. So, first of all, we have understood the optical center, what it is. Now, to illustrate this optical center, I'll give you some examples. See, take the example of framing a painting. When you are framing a painting, then there will be some space around it. Now, if the top space and bottom space quite wide and left and right space is slightly narrowed, and you compare it with this, the next one, which is the top, left, right space is narrowed while the bottom space is much wider. Why it is so? Because it is human eye will feel comfortable to look at the visual which is slightly above the geometrical center. This is a trend of, but all the time you do it, but you don't know why it is. It is because of this, because of the presence of optical center. Take another example. See, when you are reading a conventional book with a text, so you will find there are border around it. The border will be on the top, bottom and right. It is much less than the top, left, right space is much lesser than the bottom space. It is because you feel comfortable to read your text slightly above on the page. This is another example of presence of optical center. Take another example. This is another example of a conventional or formal cover design of a book. So, generally you identify the book title. There is a guide to public relation management. This is the title of the book. It has been placed on the optical center, which you feel comfortable to read it. Or the other things, there is a publisher name is slightly down below, but is a prominent position is optical center, which you can see clearly. So, this is the presence of optical center. Most of the conventional book design, you will find this is the placement. Of course, this is the optical center, but the other point is the structural point. Structural point, when you are reading the text, on a book, then first thing your eye will spot on the first letter of the lines. That is the optical center, because you will not start reading exactly on the middle, exactly on the bottom, exactly on the top left corner, that is the starting letter. There is the optical center. But if there is something like this, a letter with a black background and occupied some area, this is the structural point. The eye will not on the top of the page. Eye will definitely go to the type and bottom left corner. Why it is so? Because it is attracting by its contrast color. So, this is called structural point. That means designer may not follow the principle of placing all the elements on the optical center, but designer can move the viewer's eye wherever he or she wants to. So, this is the example of the structural center. Structural point will guide the viewer to go to the particular point to start reading the design. Otherwise, all the design would have been the same. That is one of the principles I told you. Next vocabulary is line. A line can be straight, light can be curved, light can be heavy, light can be continuous, light can be broken, light can be real, and light can be imaginary. Say, the line, the bottom you will find the mouse and the curved line of the wire is showing it as a curved line. You can find in this particular slide that vertical lines of the slides, each graphic block is used a vertical lines, and also you find the text, vocabulary, line and the other text down below. It is aligned with a line. The line is not there actually, but we can imagine it, that is a line which is used to align all the elements. What are the elements? The typographical content which are aligned along with the line, that is the imaginary line. Line it is not there, but because to make it convenient to read, it has been aligned with the help of the imaginary line. So, you find the structural line and you find the imaginary line. Also, you will find that lines can create different type of mood and meaning. Also, you can see we can impose a lines on an object which we see. For example, see the tree. The tree is having so many leaves, branches and all, but when you look at a tree, you don't actually see all the leaves and branches. You see the overall shape of the tree. That's why we have drawn a line. If you imagine a house, you don't see all the windows, doors and all of the house. You see all the outline of the house. Like that, whatever you identify, maybe a pictures when you see, you find a picture is a rectangular shape or a cutout shape of the pictures. So, you impose the lines, you identify the element with the help of the line. Each line can create a mood and meaning of a design. If the line is horizontal, it can create the mood of calmness, calmness of sea, calmness of speed of the arrow. Vertical line is a division. A space is divided by the vertical lines. Broken lines. If the lines is broken, it is not smooth, then it will show that it is going in a low speed and there is a pause in it. If it is a curved line, you find a curved line. If you want to show the waves, naturally straight line will not show the waves. It will curved line will show the waves. If you want to see the creeper will not grow straight like this. It will grow like curved like this. So it is a movement, it is a grace, it is a beauty of the curved line. The forceful line, the strength of a stem of a tree, strength of a pillar of a building, strength of the pillar of a metro line. So all this you cannot find it in a delicate lines. You will find it in a strong line, and it will give you the feeling of the strength. Freehand line. If you can draw a sketch of a human being, then it will be freehand line. But if you draw it in a scale, then it will be too much mechanical. Let us look at some examples. See the example of the straight lines, the sea and the horizontal lines. You just find a horizontal line, that is the calmness of the sea. Then see the speed of the train, and it has the horizontal line and it has created the speed. Had it been in a only and straight space and smooth space, and you could not feel the speed of the train. The horizontal lines giving the feel of a speed. Now, take the example of the lines. The top line is a straight line. So, when you are looking at the line, you get the smooth movement on the line. You are moving. But when to the next line, which is a pause, the broken, that means lines are not going at smooth. It is going by stopping in between. And to illustrate it again further, I have used that lines in words. When you are reading words, each words are different from other words. So, you are going pause by pause, and there is a pause between the words, and you identify each word, and you are moving on the line. So, this is also line, but these lines are not smooth. It is a pause. There is a pause between the words. See the curved line that created the beautiful figure of the dance. And this is possible only by curved line. If you make it mechanically by drawing straight lines, perhaps you will not find the grace of the dancing figure. See the lines created the waves. These lines is the curved lines and giving the feeling of the waves. But here these waves cannot be felt by the straight lines or pause lines. See the stem of the tree. When it is standing firmly, it is strength, but the same tree, it is slightly falling down, and you will find that it is losing its strength. That means a line is, if it is straight, then it is a strong line, and when it is slanted, then it is losing its strength. So this aspect also can be applied in a design. See the freehand drawing of the rose. Left hand side is a freehand drawing. You feel the smoothness of the rose, softness of the rose by freehand line. But whereas the next one, it is drawn by scale. So scale, when the design is drawn by scale, it is not smoothness is there. It is looking to mechanical. If you want to give a mechanical feeling, of course, you can use the scale lines. But if you give the smooth feeling, then you will have to use the freehand line. Next vocabulary is shape. What is the shape? Enclosed line make a shape. See the shapes. This circle, this is not a circle. When you make a shape, the circle is open somewhere. That means it is not a shape. It is a line. We can call it a curved line. But if you want to make a shape, you will have to close it. And when you can close it, then you can fill the space. If it is not closed, then you cannot fill the space. So, the shape can be identified. Shape can be identified by size, by its tone, by its edges. The size can be big, size can be small, size can be very big, and also it can be filled up by tones, by light, dark, very dark, and edges. Edges can be smooth, edges can be rough. Each shape has an optical weight. If a small shape is placed adjacent to the small shape, another big shape, then optically you will find the big shape is heavier than the other one. Some of the shapes carry information, whereas the other just for decoration. Take an example of the slides. Now, this rectangular shape of the color is a blue color, green color, and yellow color. All these are the rectangular shape, and it is not carrying information. These are all the shape for decoration, and decorative shapes are used to enhance the information bearing shapes. What are the information bearing shapes? The design principle within a block, that is the information bearing shapes. All the text of the slides, all the content of the slides in the middle, it is a shape, and which is carrying the information, because you are reading, you are understanding what I am going to tell you in this particular slide. So this is the information bearing shapes. The mouse of the slides is also an information bearing shape, because we use the mouse to create a design on computer screen. So that is also information bearing shapes. So you understand the information bearing shapes and non-information bearing shapes or the decorative shapes. Decorative shapes will not carry information, but they will be used just to enhance the message of the information bearing elements like typography, like illustrations. So illustration typographies are the information bearing elements, whereas the graphic shapes filled with colors or the border, color, etc. are non-information bearing element of a design. Now, take the example of the shapes. So, there are two shapes opposite to each other. So, the left shape and right shape, top circular shape, you can say, just compare it. That which one you will say heavier? Naturally, you will say the left one is heavier. Why? Because though the shapes are equal, but the shape is filled with color, and which is a heavier color. So, heavier color will carry more weight than the lighter color. The second row you will find one red rectangle and one black triangle. Both are filled with different colors. One is black and another is a red color. Now, if you ask you that which one will carry more weight, some of you may confuse with that. Okay, some of you will say, oh, red one, some of you will say black one. That means you are confused with that weight of these two elements. Actually, both are the same weight, despite the fact that triangle and rectangle, that one is filled with red color, another filled with black color, they are counterbalancing each other. That means they are in equal weight. But they are color wise different, but weight wise they are same. It is just like that in a weighing machine. If you put a bag of cotton and another side a bag of say paper, then the paper one will carry much weight than the cotton one. Cotton is lighter than the paper. So it is like that. The third row you see the two shapes. One is a rectangular shape and another is a irregular shape. So both are occupied almost the same space. But if this situation arises, the elements are identified, they are occupying the same space, but one is a regular shape, another is an irregular shape, then the irregular shape will carry more weight than the regular shape. These aspects should be kept in mind while identifying the design elements. Tone. You have seen all the shapes are filled with some colors. What is the tone? Tone is the relative darkness and lightness of the color. Relative darkness and lightness of the color. If it is black, then what is the tone? Gray will be tone. And tone will be of different percentages, maybe 10%, 20%, 30%, and the tone percentage is increased, then it will be darker. If it is red, then it will be red color, and the tone of the red color will be the pink. If it is darker red, then we will call it a maroon color, which will be darker tone of the red color. So this way we can compare one color to another color. The tone can be of various degrees. It can be shining, it can be smooth, it can be rough. If the tone is rough, then we call it a texture. Texture can be artificially created. Textures are available in the nature as well. See the example of the tone. See here you find so many colors, the rectangles of so many colors: brown, yellow, green, bluish green, dark green, red color. So now all these colors can be identified separately, and also you can identify the colors in terms of the tone. Now if you compare with the top two rectangle, that is one is brown and another is red, another is yellow, then if you compare these two shapes in terms of the tone, which one will be considered lighter, which one will be considered dark? Naturally, you would say the brown will have the darker tone and yellow have the lighter tone. Take the example of the two green, the middle green and the bottom green. So naturally, the middle green will be darker than the bottom one. The red and green, say these two tones are almost similar. The red and green, red color and green color, though the color wise are so much different, but tone wise they are almost similar. These tone aspects to be remembered, because this tone can be converted into black and white, and all this color can be converted into black and white. See this, all these have retained a certain value of each color. This can be seen in a movie, a color movie which is in color, and the same movie can be seen on black and white screen. What do you see in that black and white movie? It is nothing but the total value of the colors that is giving you the the image, and as you can see in your movie. So, just to explain these things, I have illustrated it with a movie. What is the tone? Tone is the relative darkness and lightness of the color. This is the example of texture. Texture can be smooth, texture can be rough, texture can be patterned, and various textures can be created and also available in computer if we are designed to be illustrated or maybe colorful, then perhaps you can use these textures. And in compared to texture to tone, texture will carry more weight than the tone. Tone is smooth and texture is rough. That will why it will carry more weight? Because it will attract more attention to your eyes. That's why it will carry more weight. So, a shape filled with a tone and a shape filled with a texture, texture will carry more weight. That is to be remembered while preparing a design. So, after discussing the vocabularies, that means you identify the design elements. Suppose you have got the pictures, then you are identifying what is the shape of the pictures, and if pictures may contain a dark color, that means what is the tonal value of the color. If you have the another pictures whose tonal value is slightly lighter than the first one, then you can see the weight of that particular one will be more than that. Then after identifying the design elements, then it should be arranged on the given space as per the syntax of the design. What is the syntax? Syntax is a orderly presentation of the design elements. And syntax also can be syntax of proportion, syntax of balance, syntax of rhythm, syntax of harmony, syntax of contrast, and syntax of unity. So, let us understand each one by one, so that while placing them on the given space, we can decide how we will have to place the design element on the given space. Proportion. Compositional forces are measured by proportions. Proportion, this is bigger than this is smaller than this color is lighter than this color is darker than this side is longer than the other side. This is the way we find the proportion. So, if it is a bigger size picture in compared to smaller size, naturally the viewer decision will be to look at the bigger size picture first. That's why that you decide while preparing design how you want to direct your viewer on the design. Naturally, you want to direct your viewer on the design to the bigger size. So, when you take a proportion while designing, take the blank space and divide the space in proportion. So, if you divide the space just half vertically and horizontally, it will get the 4 rectangles. It is so similar, and similar things are monotonous. So, it is a monotonous proportion. When all the shapes are in same rectangle, then it is called monotonous. And to break the monotony or make it slightly different than that, then it will be slightly different. Then you make one of the rectangle is bigger and other 3 is slightly smaller than the bigger one. So, it is a pleasing proportion. So, while preparing the design, before placing the design, you divide the space in certain rectangles, so that you can decide which element to be placed in which position, so that you can attract your viewer eye to that particular position, and you have to direct him or her to read the design from that point. Next one is another division. This is called subtle division. Here all the rectangles are not same. It is so subtle. Somewhere is longer, somewhere is rectangles, somewhere is slightly horizontally longer, somewhere is vertically longer. So, this is called subtle rectangle. You design, expect it to be subtle. What is subtle? Because subtle is nature. Subtle rectangle, subtleness, you can find it nature. Nature is very subtle. what do you mean by subtleness? Because in nature, nothing is similar things. Take an example. If you go to the hill station, then you find the mountain peaks. Do you find all the mountain peaks in same triangle? Had it been all triangle, it would have been so monotonous. But you find it interesting because the mountains are not very uniform. They are subtle. Somewhere it is big, somewhere it is small. That's why the mountains are so beautiful. If you go to see a sightseeing, and you will find that this sightseeing is not similar things. If you go to a colony, then you will find all the houses are similar. Then it is look monotonous. Whereas the private colonies are very subtle, and you find it much more interesting. One of the syntax I have told you, that is proportion. After proportion, we can take the next, the harmony. Design elements should be harmonious. Harmonious, that means, what do you mean by harmony? Harmony means that one element should go with the other element. Take the example of photographs. So if the photographs with other photographs or the same style of photographs, it will be harmonious. But if you take these photographs with a painting, maybe then perhaps it will not go with that. If you are using some drawings, line drawings, and along with that you take a abstract painting, perhaps it will not go with that. So design element should be harmonious, one element to another elements. There are various types of harmony. That is, one is a shape harmony. What do you mean by shape harmony? Shape harmony means that the elements are using all are in rectangular shape. Then it will go along with that. For example, a typographical content is a rectangular shape, a photography is a rectangular shape, in a graphic space is a rectangular shape. All these things only go together. But all of a sudden, within the shape, and you take an irregular shape, perhaps it will not go with that. The harmony, I can illustrate the harmony with your, in your school days, perhaps you are wearing the school uniform. Then when you are wearing the school uniform, and you are all in harmonious. They look similar. The harmony is like this. The harmony should go with another element in terms of their tone, shape, design characteristics, which are by nature same. Take the example of this rectangle. This rectangle, you will find that all these elements are harmonious. Why? Because in a rectangular shape, and they are all filled with the same color. That's why they are harmonious. But total harmony is monotonous. Many times it is. But see this harmony, this rectangle, and another one is an odd shape within these shapes. That means it is not going with that harmonious characteristics. You understand these things? But many times the total harmony is monotonous. Why it is monotonous? Because as your life is harmonious, that is, you are going to the college or going to the office regularly, it becomes monotonous. You need a holiday. You go to a hill station to break your monotony. So many times we break the harmony by breaking the monotony of it. So these examples are the example of the shape harmony. Now, say this one, the left side, all these 9 rectangles are in different colors. That means one color is not going with the other colors. They are not harmonious. But right hand side, all these the colors, all these rectangles are having the colors. They are different colors, but a little bit green in it. That because they are green in it, they are creating a cool effect. So this the cool effect is a commonness of all the colors. That's why this has created a harmony in it. So these are called color harmony. When you are using a design and if you want to make it harmonious, then make it harmonious, creating a similar type of colors in all the shapes, all the elements of the design. This one is a typographical harmony. The typographical harmony, for example, one page you are using a sans serif type and another page in classical Roman, where the thick and thin stroke with the serif is there. But the objects you have written in classical Roman and the text in sans serif perhaps it will not go with that. Sometimes the heading is different than the text one, but of course many times we break the monotony of the page by using the different type style. But only thing is, if you can do this if you know the design grammar. So if you know the grammar, you can break it. But without knowing the grammar, if you break it, then your design will be of bad look. Balance. What is a balance? Balance is an equilibrium of design elements on a space. You understand equilibrium in a weighing machine. So we put one thing on one side of the weighing machine and put another side with it to counterbalance it. It is just like this. That there is a weighing machine, and both the sides you have placed two elements which are equal in size, and they are filled with the same colors. They are counterbalancing with each other. It is just like a weighing machine. You have the two sides, and you are putting the same size of elements both sides, and they will counterbalance each other. So this is very conveniently you can prepare the design. So the equilibrium or the balance can be two types. One is a formal balance, another is an informal balance. Formal balance, or it is also called symmetrical balance. It has got the elements of equal size and weight on left and right of the center half of the page, just like this. If you divide the two space and both sides are two elements are equal weight, they will counterbalance to each other. It is, if you take a page, this is a page of a design. Now you have got the three elements in a design. The two rectangles, we have placed it on the optical center both sides, and the third one we have divided into two parts and placed it on the center. So they are counterbalancing it. So this is called symmetrical symmetry. Both sides are equal. In terms of the weight, they are equal. But if you take the second one, one of the elements is black, and another elements are, compared to the other element, it is lighter. So naturally it is not balancing. Why? The lighter side will be heavier. So it is not a balance. So this is not a symmetrical balance. If you take in a design, a cover page design, see all this rectangle of color has been divided into two parts. Your title of the book has been divided into two parts. The author name is also divided into two parts. That is a symmetrically balanced. The right side, you find that another element is kept on the top left corner, which is creating a heavy. That means it is not in balance. The other side become heavy. Of course, many times we intentionally do it. And what is the intention in this particular design? Intention is that the design of cover should be highlighted by the second edition, because this is add value to the book. That means it has come out with another edition. So we have break the design principle. We have make it intentionally heavy on the top. But this type of things you can do only if you know the design rules. Then only you can do it. But you will have to sufficient reason for that why you are doing so. Otherwise, it should be kept within the rule. That will divide the space in two parts and place all the elements equally both sides. So this is symmetrically. Another form of design, it is called informal design or asymmetrical, informal balance or asymmetrical balance. So asymmetrical balance, to achieve the asymmetrical balance, it is like difficult things, and you need a little bit practice in it. Without practicing, you cannot be able to achieve these things. And while you present a design to a viewer, the viewer may not be able to find out whether it is a balance or not, but he or she will feel a little bit uncomfortable in the design. But you as a designer, you as a professional, you must know the grammar and you have to place the element in balance. So what is that informal balance? Take the example of these two elements. One element is small, one element is big. Naturally, you will say that bigger element will carry more weight. If it is in the weighing machine, what will happen? Then it will be like this. The other side will go down. It is just like you have played in your childhood time in a children's park in seesaw. Then if you want to balance it, then two persons are on the seesaw, and one is fat, one is thin. Then naturally the thin one will go up and the heavier one will go down. To counterbalance it, you will have to come closer to the fulcrum of the seesaw so that it can be balanced. It is the same rule of the center of gravitation. What is the rule of center of gravitation? The rule is that when an object coming closer to the center of gravitation, it loses its weight. When it go away from the center of gravitation, it is increasing its weight. So in this situation, how we can achieve the balance? We can achieve the balance by bringing the heavier element slightly closer to the pivot of the weighing machine, or the center point of the weighing machine, so that it can counterbalance. The same principle is applicable in design as well. What is that? Take the example of the two examples. The left hand side, you can see the text, the headlines, and rectangular block, black block, and all these things are slightly heavier on the left hand side, whereas the one circle is placed it's slightly away from the optical center. But it is so light, it is unable to counterbalance with the other elements in combined. So to counterbalance the design, what we should do it? That the circular one should be made slightly heavier by making it darker tone. The color is made darker, so that just put your finger on your optical center and see the most part of the circle has gone to the right hand side, and a small part in the left hand side plus the other elements. If you add to this, it will be able to counterbalance the one. So since it was not counterbalancing, another rectangle, another black rectangle is kept at the bottom right corner away from the optical center to balance it. That is the way we judge it, that which one is balanced, which was not in balance. Take the other example. Here also, this side and that side, it is both the sides we have kept it same weight, and that is balanced. And other one is also is become balanced. Another syntax is a rhythm. What is a rhythm? Rhythm is a regular repetition of lines, shapes, tones, etc. Rhythm, what you have found in dance, music, etc. What do you mean by rhythm? Rhythm is repetition. Suppose dance steps are repeated, then we call it repeated in a same interval, then we call it dance is in rhythm. If the music, a particular word is repeated again and again, then we call it is a rhythm. So in design also, we can create a rhythm when we arrange the elements in repetition. The repetition can be different way you can place it. See this one. This is a repetition of the rectangular shape. The first, second, third, fourth. It is gradually growing away by step. Your eye will spot the prominent one, then it will go to farther away from you by repetition. This is another example of the repetitions. The rectangles are repeated forms. So if the design elements are placed in repeated form, your eye will go one by one. It is just like if you are standing in front of a sea wave. The sea wave, it is in rhythm. Your eye will spot one of the waves, and it will take you further away and away. So that helps the movement on a static design to take you away to the design. Your newspaper page in columns, it is in rhythm, repeated column. Your book is sometimes in a columns, your magazine in columns. The columns is a form of a rhythm. The one column to another column, you go step by step. So same in the case of the visual elements also press rhythm, it will help you to move the design one by one. Of course, it is not necessary that all the design should be in rhythm. You may use some of the things, maybe proportion may be important in design, some of the things balance may be important in design, sometimes rhythm may be important into design. Not all the syntax can be used in one particular design. Harmony I have already discussed with you. Contrast. Contrast is another design syntax. In communication, you cannot communicate everything to your reader or viewer. In music, you cannot sing everything, like your tabla is playing, harmonium playing, other musical instruments playing together, and if you play all the things together, will it be with a harmony? It will not be harmony. So you have to create a contrast somewhere. Sometimes your voice is very prominent, the other musical instrument is slightly low down. That's why the musics are composed. Same with the case of a design. You cannot show everything. You want to show the headline, you want to show the text, you want to show all the photographs together. You cannot. You will have to create a contrast. The contrast will attract the viewer to that particular point. After that, you will have to guide him or her to go to the design one by one. The contrast can be created in various ways. See, this design are all in uniform, no contrast has been created. So all these are uniform. All these are uniform. So no contrast, it is a monotonous. So if you use one of the elements slightly bigger, don't you think that you will be able to attract attention to your viewer on this particular one? If one of the elements is slightly slanted, then will you not be able to attract your viewer on this particular position? All this line rectangle, only that portion will attract you. Your eye will not go anywhere else except that rectangle. So you have created contrast in the design by slanting. This another example is putting the color in design. Color, it is creating a contrast. Okay, then the unity. All the design elements should be united, should not be scattered. The unity can be created in various ways, like border. The border has created an unity. All the lines are together. Headed line is slightly away from the border, and you will not be able to read it properly. So border has created unity in the design. These four elements are scattered. So it is just like a classroom. If some students are sitting in this corner, some students are sitting in this corner, it will not be in a organized class. So if you want to organize, then what you have to do? You have to group them. When you are grouping them, you have kept the identity of each one, but they are maintaining their own identity with the borders, but even they are united. But
so we are running short of time over here.
Just two points.
I hope that all the students who might have watched this lecture would be benefited from it, and very soon we would be conducting one more lecture and many more lectures on design principles. Today we understood about the grammar of design, and very soon we would be discussing on other aspects of design principle. We would be meeting again. Till then, take care. Goodbye. Thank you, sir. Thank you so very much.